Welcome to KGN Caribbean News. I'm Karesha Graham. Here's what's making headlines in this week's Caribbean Crime Watch. A caregiver in Westmoreland is now facing charges after police discovered the mummified remains of an elderly woman inside her home, nearly 2 years after the woman reportedly died. Investigators say the caregiver Gina Robinson kept the body hidden, claiming she had a divine vision and feared the woman would go to hell if she wasn't spiritually saved. Family members alerted authorities after growing suspicion. The body was found wrapped in sheets and trampoline. A postmortem is underway as the investigation continues. Dorian Marshall is a free man after the Eastern Caribbean Court of Appeal overturned his murder conviction. Marshall was serving a 40-year sentence for the 2017 drive-by shooting of Xavier Thomas in Cedar Grove, but judges found the identification evidence against him was too weak to stand, calling it unreliable and unsupported. The court ruled that the trial judge should have dismissed the case instead of letting a jury decide. With no retrial allowed, Marshall walked out of prison nearly 5 years after his arrest. Gun violence has claimed another life in the Fox Hill area. Police say a man was found unresponsive inside a home on Ambrister Street, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Investigators believe he may have been shot elsewhere and taken to the residence before dying. It marks the 46th homicide in the country this year. Authorities are still piecing together what led to the shooting and are urging anyone with information to come forward. Two men were rushed to the hospital after back-to-back shootings in Port of Spain on last Wednesday around 3 p.m. A 43-year-old man visiting family in La Ventel was shot multiple times after being approached by a man asking for the boss. Just 30 minutes later in Morvant, a retired health worker was ambushed while fixing his van. He was pistol whipped and shot in the shoulder and bitten by a dog while trying to escape. Both victims are recovering as police search for the suspects and investigate whether the attacks are connected. A former Guyanese police officer has been sentenced to 25 years behind bars for the fatal shooting of a businessman in Essequibo. The court ruled the use of force was unjustified, marking a rare conviction in a case involving law enforcement. Legal observers say the ruling sends a strong message about police accountability, while the force is now reviewing internal protocols tied to officer conduct and firearm. A major crime crackdown is underway in St. Kitts and Nevis, where security forces launch a series of coordinated raids targeting suspected human traffickers and organized crime groups. More than 24 people were taken into custody during early morning operations across both islands. Authorities say the raids carried out with regional and intentional support mark a turning point in the fight against transitional crime and border exploitation. Investigators are now combing through seized digital evidence as the case unfolds. Prime Minister Gaston Brown is calling for stronger regional unity to tackle rising crime across the Caribbean. Speaking at the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting in Jamaica, Brown described violent crime and gang activity as one of the biggest threats facing the region today. He urged leaders to speak with one voice and form a united front against transnational criminal networks. The call comes as Haiti's gang crisis worsens, fueling urgency for a coordinated Caribbean-wide response. And today's newscast is powered by Luxury Glam Onsley. So if you want your makeup, your hair, brows, or lashes on point, whether you're stepping out bold, bridal ready, or straight up boss babe vibes, Little One, the owner of Luxury Glam Onsley, got you covered. Trust me, this is where the glam magic happens. Hit up the number on your screen to book your glow up or catch all the info on Instagram on your screen. Let's check the political heartbeat of the Caribbean in this week's Politics Pulse. Veteran attorney Anselm Cloden is calling on Grenada's parliament to introduce a dedicated bail act. Speaking at a recent court event, Cloden argued that the current system leaves too much room for confusion, both for the courts and for police officers handling bail decisions. He says clear legislation is needed to ensure consistency and fairness, especially in cases where accused individuals are granted bail by a judge but still denied release. Cloden believes a formal bail act would strengthen the justice system and protect the rights of all citizens. Prime Minister Gaston Brown is standing firm on the country's gaming laws, confirming there will be no changes to the Gaming Act for now, and no campaign finance reform under his administration's current term. The Bahamas has inked a major new loan deal with China, and Prime Minister Philip Davis is promising it won't be business as usual. The argument aimed at boosting national development comes with a public pledge for stricter accountability and responsible spending. Davis says the funds will support long-term economic growth, but warned that transparency will be key in managing the partnership. Details on the loan's conditions are expected in the coming days. Barbados is pushing forward with its green agenda, rolling out new electric vehicles for public service as part of its energy transition plan. Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw says the government remains committed to cutting fossil fuel use across all sectors. Meanwhile, Barbados will host the region's top tourism conference later this year. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says Jamaica is doubling down on food security, with new investments aimed at boosting local production and reducing import reliance. The initiative includes expanding greenhouse farming, upgrading irrigation systems, and supporting small-scale farmers. Holiness says the country must build resilience in the face of global supply disruptions, and that feeding Jamaicans from Jamaican soil is now a national priority. The government of St. Kitts and Nevis has approved a landmark amendment raising the minimum wage and strengthening worker protections. Parliament passed the bill this week, increasing the weekly minimum wage to 500 Eastern Caribbean dollars. Officials say it's a major step toward economic fairness, ensuring workers can meet rising costs while sending a message that dignity on the job starts with fair pay. Trinidad and Tobago government is considering new legislation that would make it mandatory for all citizens to carry photo identification at all times. Officials say it's part of a wider effort to improve public safety and streamline law enforcement checks. The legislation is still under review, with details on enforcement and exemptions yet to be finalized. With general elections on the horizon, St. Vincent Opposition National Liberation Movement is rolling out fresh faces. The party unveiled two new candidates this week, including diplomat and educator Dr. Doris Williams-Charles. She is positioning herself as a voice for change focused on community development and political renewal. The announcement comes as the party ramps up its campaign aiming to challenge the long-standing gun slaves administration. St. Lucia has flipped the switch on a major clean energy milestone. The government has officially completed the Sophia Solarization project, bringing renewable power to one of the island's key communities. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre says it's part of a wider push to reduce fossil fuel reliance and investment in climate resilience. The project is expected to cut costs, boost sustainability, and serve as a model for similar efforts island-wide. Politics isn't just for politicians, it affects everyone. Keep watching KGN Caribbean News for the latest events as it unfolds across the region. Across the Caribbean, governments are ramping up healthcare initiatives addressing gaps in prevention, infrastructure, and readiness as new challenges emerge. The Ministry of Health and Wellness in Barbados is calling on the public to join on Mind Your Mind consultation forum on July 16 at Combermere School. Officials aim to gather input that will shape a brand new mental health act. Organizers hope this open dialogue ensures community needs are reflected in future policy, making mental health services more effective and accessible for all. Antigua and Barbuda's cabinet has greenlit a new mobile dental unit set to launch at the start of the school year. The unit will deliver essential dental care like cleanings and checkups to children aged 5 to 14. The move follows a successful health fair that served over 1,100 residents and saved taxpayers around 2.5 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. Officials say the mobile clinic will improve access and reduce the burden on fixed site clinics. Jamaica's health ministry is putting workplace wellness front and center with a new national challenge. The 8-month program encourages employees to focus on physical activity, healthy eating, and regular screenings, all tracked on site. The goal is to tackle rising rates of lifestyle diseases while building a culture of health at work. Officials say it's a time for employers to step up as partners in prevention. Grenada is teaming up with Barbuda to launch a first of its kind digital credentialing system for healthcare workers. The agreement will make it easier to verify qualifications and allow for faster cross-border medical staffing during emergencies. Officials say the system could transform how Caribbean nations share health professionals and respond to regional crises. Guyana is moving fast to close the healthcare gap, opening new regional hospitals, upgrading rural clinics, and scaling up medical training. In just 4 years, the number of trained nurses has more than doubled. And this week, over 300 health workers received certifications through Guyana's online academy. Officials say the goal is clear: quality care within each of every citizen. St. Lucia is stepping up regional health security with the launch of a major pandemic preparedness project. Backed by the World Bank, WHO, and other global partners, the initiative aims to improve disease surveillance, strengthen lab networks, and train frontline health workers across 6 Eastern Caribbean islands. Health officials say the goal is clear: build faster, smarter systems that can detect and contain outbreaks before they spread. St. Kitts and Nevis is strengthening its forensic capabilities with the appointment of Dr. Shandale Norford Harry to the National Pathology Team. A U.S.-trained expert in forensic medicine, Dr. Norford Harry brings years of courtroom and autopsy experience to the role. She is expected to lead high-profile investigations, including the case of 15-year-old Janelika Romney. Officials say her return marks a turning point in how serious crimes are investigated, prioritizing accuracy, accountability, and local expertise. This segment of KGN Caribbean News is sponsored by Bellam Natural Skincare, a real Jamaican brand born from the founder's own skin struggles. If you're tired of dark spots, dry patches, or uneven skin tone, these handmade soaps could be your new best friend. They've got some killer combos like kojic acid with vitamin C, turmeric and sea moss, honey, and oats, all natural, all effective. Plus, they ship all across Jamaica and Here's the catch. They also ship internationally. So no matter where you are, you can get in on the glow. Order through the Instagram on your screen or WhatsApp the phone number, which is on your screen as well. Your skin, I go thank you. Take care of your skin, people. Here's what's happening in the Caribbean economy with this week's Island Market Watch. Port Royal has officially earned its place on the world stage. The once infamous Pirate Haven is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, joining Jamaica's Blue and John Crow Mountains on the prestigious global list. The destination honors the town's unique blend of submerged ruins and colonial history. Culture Minister Olivia Grange says it's a proud moment for the country and a step forward in preserving Jamaica's heritage for future generations. The announcement came last week during UNESCO meeting in Paris. Grenada is powering forward with its clean energy agenda, securing more than 35 million US dollars to transform the nation's electricity grid. The funding backed by the World Bank will support new solar and wind projects, expand battery storage, and modernize transmission lines across the island. Officials say the investment could cut over 100 tons of carbon emissions and create dozens of green jobs, including targeted opportunities for women. It's part of a broader regional push towards sustainable climate resilience energy. Energy Minister Dr. Rudolph Muniel says domestic oil output has jumped significantly since the government took office. Crude production rose from 48,000 barrels per day to nearly 54,000, a gain of roughly 5,000 barrels. Gas output is up with major players like BP and Shell on board to further boost volumes, particularly in the Manatee field, which is expected to see a 10% increase. Barbados young workers say they're feeling stuck, caught between low wages and limited job options. Many report being underpaid, underemployed, or shut out entirely due to lack of experience, even for entry-level roles. And while official numbers show progress in unemployment, critics say it's not translating into meaningful careers. With most opportunities tied to short-term contracts or gig work, young Barbadians are calling for fair wages and more sustainable pathways to long-term employment. St. Kitts and Nevis is making major moves to uplift its youth through education. Prime Minister Terence Joe announced new investment in school upgrades, from roof repairs and safer fencing to full-scale rebuilding projects. And rebuilding projects like the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary, destroyed by fire in 2022. The projects are not only transforming learning spaces but also creating jobs for local contractors. With $120 million added to the education budget, the government says it's building more than just classrooms, it's building futures.